everyone. Our next order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'd please stand and join us in reciting the pledge. The flag is over here to our right. Thank you. I
pledge allegiance to the republic of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, thank you, and again, welcome. Our next order of business is citizen comments. 1, 2, 3. Let's see. Councillor Klein has an excused absence unless she can find a connection somewhere. She will join us. Our next order of business is citizen comments. This is.
She's online.
Did she make it? Oh, I see you now, Councillor. Thank you for being with us. Can you hear us? Make sure she can hear us before we start. Councillor Klein, can you hear us? Oh,
Okay.
can you hear us, Councillor?
Yep,
No,
I hear
okay.
you.
All right, thank you, Councillor. Just raise your hand or wave if you'd like the floor.
Okay.
Thank you. Our next order of business is citizen comments. This is an opportunity to address the council on agenda items or other items they wish to bring to the attention of the council. Citizens are encouraged to discuss operational issues in advance with the mayor in consideration of others wishing to speak. Please limit your remarks to 3 minutes. I would invite any citizens in the audience to submit comments. I see one official citizen out there, Rob, but maybe Rob's here for the hearing. If not, we'll move on. Thank you. Our next order of business is agenda item Roman number 4, public hearings and related action items. Item A, public hearing, Normal Hill Cemetery, Brighton Golf Course and Parks and Recreation fees. Accepting testimony on fees for the Normal Hill Cemetery, Brighton Canyon Golf Course, and other parks and recreation fees. This is an action item, and we have our Parks and Recreation Director, Tim Barker, with us tonight. Tim, I've announced the subject matter. The process will work like this. We'll open the public hearing. We'll have a presentation on the fees. We'll accept testimony from the public if there is any. Councillor, if you have questions, that would be your time to ask them either of the director or the public or of others, and then we'll close the public hearing. So with that, Director Barker, I will open the public hearing and turn the floor over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tim Barker, Parks and Rec Director for the City of Lewiston. As noted, I will be going through a number of different fees, a total of 82, and for your enjoyment, I will not be going through each one individually. I will more in the sense of summarize those different items within each of the 3 key areas. All of these are items that we have been discussing previously during a work session. Just to reiterate, these are various items within the community center, within our park program. So whether this is for exclusive use of shelters or use of equipment, personnel within our park system for events or tournaments, different things that we have that occur, bouncy castle, if that's utilized within one of our facilities, alcohol permits, vendor fees, those types of things within the parks. And then obviously within cemeteries, we have the various fees for purchasing of plots, the interment costs, and then those items there, as well as golf course, a range of different fees. Won't go through the about us. But again, the 3 key areas, cemetery, parks and rec, and golf is what we'll focus on today. What we are looking at doing, in 2015, we passed the council approved a cemetery master plan for Normal Hill Cemetery. And the guideline from that was given by our consultants at the time, Lees and Associates, was to annually make increases to those, the CPI increases, so the consumer price index, whatever that percentage was. Between 2016, when that went into effect, and 2023, those prices only were raised 2 separate occasions. And so what we've gone and done this last year, as far as the cemetery and Urban Forestry Commission, is they've gone back out, done their own regional study as far as comparatives within the region, looked at the consumer price index, and then come up with these proposed fees based on increases to what our current rates are. So like I mentioned, over the last 6 years or so, there were 2 separate times of those 6 that were increased. Now we're trying to get back up to where we should have been if they were making recommendations annually. So again, I won't necessarily go through all of these. On the bottom of each of those slides, it kind of gives you an idea of what grave fees are considered. So these are purchasing of plots or niches, which is basically that square space that you would put cremated remains within at the cemetery, whether that's in a vessel or some other type of decorative piece. So that explains single depth, double depth. So what that is some of our grave areas we're able to do 2 full bodies deep. And so that's what that double depth means. On a singular grave site, you can have up to 2 full bodies and 6 cremations. We used to have it where you could have up to 4, but commission this last year approved an increase to up to 6 cremations. So you really can, as our inventory continues to stay low, we've tried to expand some options at the site in the meantime until we're able to develop the cemetery or options further. And please, if you have questions along the way, I'll answer those, but I'll leave some time to once I'm done with my portion of the presentation. Opening and closing fees. So once the plot is purchased, these are the fees if you were to intern somebody. So again, these are the various fees, the current versus proposed. Just as note, the NS, what that means is if there's no service that's tied or provided by Wilberts, who is our contracted service provider and digger. So if there is no on-site service, then that's what that fee would be. So a good example is second right of interment, no service would be $741. If there's a service connected to it, then there's additional setup, so that would be an $840 cost. Or sorry, proposed to be $840, and then if there's a service, that's that number below the SER. So 1,049 is now 1,130 as far as the price goes, as example. So that's it for cemetery. Moving on to Bryden Canyon Golf Course. One thing I did change from what was put in the packet was that bottom section noted at the time from the previous presentation that we were not including any of the additional lease payment that was being requested or directed from the Joint Airport Authority into those fees. So after that work session that we had, I've gone back, met with Courseco, who is the company that manages the golf course, and we have now included the additional $55,000 that is being requested this year for a total of $90,000 out of the lease rate for the course on airport land. That $55,000 has been incorporated into these various fees. So as you'll see, again, in 2020, current 2024, a rate for a season pass for an individual adult is $1,130. With that rate, the increase of the $55,000 put into this, the proposed rate is $1,225. So we did have to bump up those numbers from what I originally presented to you back at the work session. And noted on the bottom, so everybody's aware, the total price for this next year for leasing that land is $90,000. It's going to be proposed that the $35,000 that was originally budgeted for example, for this year, for that lease rate will continue to be provided through general fund. And then the additional 55 will come from user fees. The majority of, if you were curious how the numbers broke down to add up to 55,000, that's a lot of moving parts. Most of those increases are being attributed to our daily user rates. Those are where you tend to make a majority of your revenue is somebody that's not a current member, because current members pay a one-time annual fee if they are a member of the course, whereas if someone was to come and play 10 rounds and not have a pass at all, then they would be paying 10 separate individual times. And so that's kind of the, a little bit of that reasoning behind why our daily rates ended up going up a little bit higher, is that's where you really catch a lot of your revenues. So various range passes, corporate passes. The corporate passes, for example, if a company wanted to buy a pass for the year, the 300 individual means that they have 300 passes that they can hand out and utilize throughout that year. The season cart passes, again, this is a kind of a one-time fee that they would pay, but that's if they want to utilize our carts that we have on site, then they would be purchasing that season pass. Cart storage, we have a few different cart storage options. And then again, this is where you'll see a majority of some of those rate increases to incorporate in that additional lease that we need to come up with the revenue for. So our 18-hole rate is $32. It's being proposed to be $37. So an additional $5 above what is currently in the structure. And so if you're looking to go play golf and you're kind of trying to figure out what those prices look like, we're proposing that to play 18, it's 37. And then if you have a cart, it would be an additional 20 for $57 to play year round. Again, so some daily rates, cart fees, Finn scooters. We have 4 different golf carts that are scooters. They look like a motorcycle. And Finn is the brand, and it's an electric powered, and your bag sits in front of you, and it's individual transportation for that. So if you had a foursome, you could use all 4 of the carts or reserve those for that. Okay, community center, Fenton Gym rental fees. A lot of these fees are just being increased because of various costs that we have that are increasing, whether that's utilities or whether that's our personnel costs. No other, these are typically fees that are all changed about once a year, if not once every 2 years, but are reviewed through the Parks and Rec Commission. So both of my commissions have gone through all of these rates and fee recommendations and have approved them unanimously in previous meetings prior to tonight. So they have been reviewed not only through staff consultants that we have, but also with our citizen commissions. Ball field rental fees, again, other various Parks and Rec fees that we have. Typical 2-hour practice is currently $45. If they want to have additional hours, then there is a $20 per hour additional rate that they have there. Games, we typically book for about 5 hours. Again, if it goes over, then there's additional charge that is attributed to them. Then lights, they were currently factored into those hourly rates or those practice rates, and we've done a light evaluation this last year with a Vista to find out that our average light cost for us per hour is $15 an hour. So now we have included an additional fee if someone wants to have lights for their event. So it is on top of the general practice or game time that they would have had. So even though it may look like, let's say, a evening practice at $45 has no change, if that's a later practice in the evening, we are now charging them additional time for use of lights during their practices. Park shelter rentals, again, pretty straightforward. Just some minimal changes that have gone on in those areas. These again, no fee change for the alcohol rates. That was a fee that we previously had available within our park system. It is now charged within our facilities, so it still goes through that administrative process between the department and with the police department before we approve someone to have alcohol at their events. And this is not for them to resell it or sell it. It's for them to just have it available at their events. So if they were to want to sell alcohol at their event, then they would work with community development department as well. And as far as the presentation, that is all I have.
Thank you, Director. I don't see any members of the public here to testify. So, councilors, do you have questions for Director
Mayor?
Barker? Councilor Klein? Go ahead, Councilor.
I was wondering on the infant grave fee, how much do we actually make on that a year? Is it something that we could not charge for the grave fee like they do in other places?
Thank you for the question, Counselor. That definitely is an option. As you've seen from some of the area studies that we've done, there are some areas that do not charge for those. There are some funeral home services too that actually tend to pay for those if there is a fee. But there's not a real consistent, that would be a decision that the council would need to make. As far as number of burials that we do per year, it's very minimal. So it would be, less than 5 a year if we had infant burials.
Okay, so it wouldn't be a substantial didn't charge for that. I understand the opening and closing, we have to, it's a little more involved in that process, but the grave fees, having the infants not have to pay for that, I feel like would be a good asset for the community.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Spicklemeyer?
Thank you, Mayor. Director, on that lease increase at the golf course, I really appreciate the effort of the golf course kind of standing on its own in doing that. And I'm just wondering, it doesn't look like the price has increased a lot, but are we still competitive? Are we under the local golf course costs, or where do we stand there?
Thank you for the question, Counselor. Yeah, we are, I mean, that's the goal, is to stay competitive, but also try to increase our revenues, so then we're less reliant on the general fund tax dollar. Ultimately, as we build up the golf fund, the ultimate goal is to be able to start incorporating capital investments into the golf fund. And so we're in year 2 of that, and we're hoping within the next few years we can start getting to that point. But yeah, pricing is at that rate because it is competitive with what's going on in the valley.
Thank you.
Councilor Lidke?
Director, when was the last increase for the cemetery rates?
Counselor, I think it was 2022 or 23. It was 17 and one of those 2 years. So I think it's been a couple of years since we've had increases proposed.
Oh,
Councilor Lidke?
can you go back to the community center slide? Can you tell me why some went down, including the entire building?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Thank you, Counselor. So the entire building, we never really offered that as a reduced rate. We have a number of rentals that want to use multiple rooms, and to try and incentivize, we're not, when we have an entire building, we only have one personnel cost. And so we don't necessarily, if we have 4 different rentals, we're not having 4 different building supervisors that are on site. So that's trying to incentivize some of those that may be trying to fit, 150 people in a room that maybe should only have 125. Try to give them an opportunity to book the amount of space that they need and provide a little bit of a bargain for them.
And is that per hour?
Correct.
Then the projector speakers is $40 flat rate
Correct.
for their event.
Mhm.
How come no change on Fenton?
We've increased that quite a bit in the last 2 years. It was almost half that 2 years ago.
I go back to the entire building. So if somebody gets the room off the kitchen, whatever one that is, and the kitchen, you're, let's say $90, $95 an hour. But they can get the
kitchen's a
entire building
one-time
for
flat rate,
$130 an hour.
which would essentially give you, to add it all up. So yeah, you're essentially getting, so if you have all of the, excluding the steelhead, those next 1, 2, 3, 4 rooms with the steelhead is 130 an hour. It's like it's what it was. It looks like. Did you do the math?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
still just trying to figure out why we would, no change possibly, but I don't know why we would drop it by $20. So I'm just
We
trying
don't
to,
have a whole lot of entire building rentals. So we're trying to encourage that if someone needs it, to just book the entire building. There are events that happen in there that we shouldn't really do rooms back to back, especially if we have a louder group, let's say an anniversary party versus a meeting in the room next to it with those collapsible walls, trying to encourage them to book the whole building.
thank you.
Mayor,
Counselor Forsman?
have we thought about kind of so I see what you're trying to do with the entire building, like you said, like kind of a bulk rate, and then you can save more by getting more, or save less money by getting more. Have we thought about doing that for maybe like if someone wanted to rent it the whole day, there was maybe a little bit of a discount for having it the whole day versus charging the same amount for the whole 8 hours? Or whatever that whole day would equate to?
Counselor, that's a good question. There's been times where, let's say you have a wedding going on mid-afternoon on a Saturday. We have allowed, if the building was open the previous day, for them to come in and set up the previous day, and then we just don't have a rental in the morning. We have not looked at having an all-day rental because we just haven't really had those types of requests.
All right, thank you.
And just on that note, if I can follow up, we do not allow someone to come in typically ahead of time, like on a Saturday morning, to set up. So they would have to pay additional for that, but that's why we also allow them to come in while the building's open the day before if it's available to do their setup.
Council, if there's no further questions, I'll close the public hearing. Thank you, Director. Next up, we have Roman number 4, item B, Resolution 2024-25, considering restating and amending fees for the Normal Hill Cemetery effective October 1, 2024. This is an action item.
Mayor,
Counselor?
I move to approve Resolution 2024-25.
Been moved by Counselor Schroeder, second by Council President Kleberg to approve Resolution 2024-25. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, Clerk Rocky?
Council President Kleberg,
Aye.
Councilor Schroeder,
Aye.
Councilor Forsman,
Aye.
Councilor Lidkey,
Aye.
Councilor Spiegelmeier,
Aye.
Councilor Klein.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, councilors. We next move to item C, Resolution 2024-26, considering restating, amending, and establishing City of Lewiston Parks and Recreation Department fees for Bryden Canyon Golf Course. This is an action item.
Mayor,
Clerk, Counselor?
motion to approve Resolution 2024-26.
Second.
Been moved by Councilor Schroeder, second by Councilor Spiegelmeier to approve Resolution 2024-26. Is there discussion? Clerk Brockie?
Council President Kleberg,
Aye.
Councilor Schroeder,
Aye.
Councilor Forsman,
Aye.
Councilor Lidkey,
Aye.
Councilor Spiegelmeier,
Aye.
Councilor Klein.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, councilors. Next, we move to item D, Resolution 2024-27, considering restating, amending, and establishing City of Lewiston Parks and Recreation Department fees. This is an action item.
Mayor,
Councilor Schroeder?
I move to approve Resolution 2024-27.
Second.
Been moved by Councilor Schroeder, second by Councilor Forsman to approve Resolution 2024-27. Is there council comments? Hearing none. Clerk Brockie?
Council President Kleberg,
Aye.
Councilor Schroeder,
Aye.
Councilor Forsman,
Aye.
Councilor Lidkey,
Aye.
Councilor Spiegelmeier,
Aye.
Councilor Klein.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, councilors. Thank you, Clerk Brockie. Next up, item E is a public hearing, ambulance service fees, accepting testimony on the ambulance service fees for the fiscal year 2025. This is an action item. We have our fire chief, Greg Reitmeyer, with us here tonight. We will have a staff presentation. I'll open the public hearing. We'll have a staff presentation, testimony from the public, if any. Councilors, you'll have a chance to ask your questions. After that, no additional evidence or testimony may be received once the hearing is closed. Then I will close the hearing. So welcome, Chief Reitmeyer. With that, I will open the public hearing, ask you to introduce yourself for the record, and then present to the council. Thank you.
Good afternoon, council, Councilor Klein and others that are out in our viewer land. Greg Reitmeyer, Fire Chief of Lewiston Fire Department. Before you this afternoon is a resolution proposing fee amendments that were brought to you during our EMS Council budget fee proposal on May 15th. The Emergency Medical Services Advisory Board conducted a fee analysis this past March, and they looked at the fees from comparative agencies around the state. We also survey some of the agencies in the area that are in Washington State. The, excuse me, the advisory board decided to look at just the agencies that responded to the survey in Idaho due to the like for likes tax structure and so forth. And they took Canyon County, Kootenai County, McCall, and Pocatello, averaged those out and came up with a $655 was the base fee for BLS transport services. Lewiston at this time is at $492 for that same service. The EMS Council made the recommendation that I bring forward a request to the council to increase that base fee from $492 to $655. The advanced life support would increase from 764 to 900, and the advanced life support treat no transport from $210 to $275. I stand for any questions.
Thank you, Chief. Councilors? Councilor Lidkey?
Chief, how come we didn't look at the local non-emergency interfacility as far as increase? Are we limited to Medicaid rates?
The advisory board's thought processes was that this was a large step that we historically haven't taken. And that right now they just wanted to look at the emergency fee portion of that. The argument, we try to balance this all the time between being good stewards of the taxpayers' dollars and also good stewards and not try to assess too much of a user fee. And so we're trying to walk that balance. And so the advisory board thought at this time that that was the right direction to go.
Councilor Lidkey?
I understand not wanting to, but I think we have two different situations. And my understanding is we do a lot of transportation between nursing home and hospital that is non-emergent. And I feel like we still have the added cost of having, if a call were to be an actual fire call were to happen during that time, we still have to bring in people on overtime, et cetera. So I just was hoping to see some adjustments there. I know we don't always get paid for that, but when private companies like nursing homes expect us to be their transport, it'd be nice if they picked up some of that cost. So I guess that's my concern with no increase.
I agree, and I can tell you that I'm happy to speak with you about some of the other things MSAB is looking into, some other ways that we can work with some of those local organizations. It's one thing if it's covered by insurance or even Medicare, Medicaid, when it's something that's essentially bundled with that care facilities care. That's one of the ones that we're working on, looking at some alternative measures. Pullman's had some good luck, and Clarkson's recently had some luck with that, working with those facilities.
Great. I just know in today's world, if you need something done, you're gonna have to pay for it, and I don't think we should limit it to companies that are getting a pretty good service from the city and not really having to pay too much for it, so.
I appreciate that, and I think that's, like I said, the stewardship to our taxpayers. There's that balance of paying to always have us be there, but also the people that use us the most paying their fair share. And it's fair is always an interesting word because it's kind of in the eye of the beholder at that time.
Councilor Forsman?
With that being, as kind of Leaky said, what Councilor Leaky said, is with the non-emergencies, a lot of times those facilities actually don't pay for it and they charge the individual. Is that correct? Or are you aware of that? Like the person that's getting, the patient is actually having to pay the full cost, and then the facility doesn't always pick up that cost. Sorry if I misworded that, but.
That is correct. When a facility calls for us to transport a patient, the facility is not bearing the burden of that cost. The patient bears the burden of that cost through their healthcare insurance, and then we're limited on what we can receive based on that healthcare insurance option.
Yeah, and I know I've at least heard around from talking to people, a lot of times insurance won't cover those types of things, and usually they're the ones paying it out of pocket.
Yeah, it depends on which insurance you have and whether or not there was prior authorization.
Thank you.
Further councilor questions for Chief Reitmeyer? Okay, with that, we will close the public hearing. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Council will next move to item F, Resolution 2024-29, considering restating and amending ambulance service fees. This is an action item. Counselor?
I move to approve Resolution 2024-29.
Second.
Been moved by Counselor Schroeder, second by Counselor Spickelmeyer to approve Resolution 2024-29. Is there further comment? Clerk Brockie?
Council President Kleberg,
Aye.
Counselor Schroeder,
Aye.
Counselor Forsman,
Aye.
Counselor Lidke,
Aye.
Counselor Spickelmeyer,
Aye.
Counselor Klein.
Aye.
Thank you, Council. Motion passes. We'll next move to Roman numeral 5, consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are considered routine by the council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these issues unless the councilor so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered on the active agenda under items moved from the consent agenda.
Mayor,
Councilor Lidke?
I'd move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Been moved by Counselor Lidke, second by Counselor Schroeder to approve the consent agenda. Is there further discussion? Those in favor, excuse me, Clerk Brockie?
Council President Kleberg,
Aye.
Counselor Schroeder,
Aye.
Forsman,
Aye.
Counselor Lidke,
Aye.
Spickelmeyer,
Aye.
Counselor Klein.
Aye.
Thank you, Council. Thank you, Clerk Brockie. Next, we move to the active agenda, Roman numeral 6, item A, Resolution 2024-18, considering adopting the Envision Lewiston 2044 Comprehensive Plan and superseding the 1999 Comprehensive Plan. This is an action item. We have our city planner, Joe Plaskon, here with us tonight if you need to hear from him. Otherwise, councilors, I would entertain a motion.
Mayor,
Councilor?
I move to approve Resolution 2024-18.
Second.
Been moved by Counselor Schroeder, second by Counselor Forsman, to approve Resolution 2024-18. Counselor Schroeder, would you like to speak to your motion further?
Yes, I was involved in most all the meetings. Yeah, I don't remember if I missed one or so. It was a great experience. It was certainly goes beyond the 1999 comprehensive plan. I mean, it takes in things that I would have never had to imagine to be in there. We have a component of health, we have housing, we have all kinds of things in this comprehensive plan. Plus, they have ways to keep the future councils and departments that are involved with the comprehensive plans, which should be almost all departments, to complete their task, to continue the life of the comprehensive plan. So it is, I think it's amazing work. It was a lot of work, and I appreciate being involved in it.
Thank you, Counselor. Okay, Clerk Brockie?
Council President Kleberg,
Aye.
Counselor Schroeder,
Aye.
Counselor Forsman,
Aye.
Counselor Lidke,
Aye.
Counselor Spickelmeyer,
Aye.
Counselor Klein.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Council and Clerk Brockie. Next, we move to item B, Resolution 2024-31, considering approving a state-local agreement between the Idaho Transportation Department and the City of Lewiston for Federal Aid Highway Project Number A024-379 and Burrell Avenue Sidewalk Infill and Thane Road to 14th Street, key number 24379-. I guess that's the end. So, Council, our Public Works Director is here tonight to present this to you. Director Johnson, welcome. Please introduce yourself for the record. The floor is yours.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, Dustin Johnson, Public Works Director. In front of you tonight for your consideration is a resolution, as the mayor has already outlined. This is a direct allocation from the state. It was funneled through the MPO. As the title assumes, it's a carbon reduction program. The emphasis was transit and pedestrian, so sidewalks. We went through the CIP, and this was the project that was selected. And included with the resolution is the kind of the standard, it is the standard agreement with any of these agreements for these projects with ITD. There is a local match, which is typically 7.34%. The local match for this particular project would be $45,068. The total project cost is $614,000. So I think that might be everything. This is on Burl, would be on the south side, basically fronting the fairgrounds there. I stand for any questions.
Thank you, Director. Councilors?
Mayor?
Councilor Ledke?
I'd move to approve resolution 2024-31.
Second.
Been moved by Councilor Lidke, seconded by Council President Kleberg to approve Resolution 2024-31. Councilor Lidke, would you like to speak to your motion further?
I can.
You don't have to, just a courtesy.
I think this is a good opportunity to make improvements with money that doesn't make its way back up here often enough. So let's do it.
Thank you, Councilor. Clerk Brocky?
Council President Kleberg,
Aye.
Counselor Schroeder,
Aye.
Counselor Forsman,
Aye.
Counselor Lidke,
Aye.
Counselor Spiegelmeier,
Aye.
Counselor Klein.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, councilors. Thank you, Director and Shannon and others that were involved in that project. We appreciate your efforts. We next move to Roman numeral 7, items moved from the consent agenda. We have none. Roman numeral 8, unfinished and new business. Item A, City Councilor comments. Comments shall not be related to an item currently before the City Council or an item that may come before the City Council in the foreseeable future and shall be limited to comments, not discussion. Councilors?
Mayor.
Councilor Forsman?
I went down to Boise this weekend and toured the state capitol building. It was beautiful, lots of history. They've added a lot of information about their history in the building and why we have to have a state capitol, why states need a state capitol and what it represents. And I think it really put a spark in me on changes that we can make here at the local level and also what's being made at the state level. And so I was glad to be able to go and see that. And then I also saw Mayor's face on all the plaques all over the building. So he was up there. Got a picture to show him later. But yeah, so I highly suggest that if you get a chance to check it out, to go down there and make sure we're learning about our great state of Idaho.
Thank you, Councilor. Further councilor comments? Item B, city boards and commissions, liaison updates. Do we have any updates today? Councilor Spiegelmeier?
Thank you, Mayor. At the last Parks and Rec Committee meeting, Director Barker and I presented the Burt Lips pool issue, the restoration, and the committee has decided to take on the task of running a survey to get the public's feedback on the restoration of Burt Lips pool, whether it's the pool or splash pad. The survey is supposed to go online tomorrow and should stay open for approximately 3 weeks. And once we get it back, the survey, we'll bring it back to the council and present what our finding was.
Thank you, Councilor. Other council comments?
Mayor.
Councilor Forsman?
Fortunately, there's not really a lot going on for mine. Both of mine were either canceled due to the holidays, and so, but we should be having next week, both of Public Works and the Historic Preservation got canceled for the month, so I think that won't be until the following month. So I don't have much to update just because of the holidays.
Counselor Schroeder, please.
Thank you. I am going to miss the next Public Works Advisory Commission meeting because I am going to be on vacation with my great grandbabies. And so it will be a fun time. It's the same week every year, so I'll be gone. And then I have MPO this Thursday, so I don't have anything at this point.
Thank you, Counselor. Council President Kleberg.
Yeah, we have a renewal agency meeting tomorrow. That's open to the public if anybody wants to come by. We never get anybody to show up. Wayne, you're always welcome. At noon, City Hall. And again, with Councilor Schroeder also being on the MPO board, we'll have a meeting on Thursday.
Thank you, Counselor. Okay, next item, Mayor comments. Couple of things. I just want to say thank you to our library director, Lynn Johnson, for allowing us to use this space. You always do a great job keeping it clean and cool and this time of the year. So we appreciate all that you do for us as a council. Then secondly, our finance director, Amy Gordon, was not with us tonight. She's in the process of buttoning up the budget. So by the end of tonight, I hope she's not there too late. We should have our budget put together and we'll start getting notices ready for publication and coming before the council, the full council, to take a look at what we have for our first look at the budget. So it's coming. Next up, item D, Advisory Board and Commission appointments. Item 1, Disability Advisory Commission, considering the reappointment of Constance Vance to a 3-year term. I move to approve the reappointment of Constance Vance to a 3-year term on the Disability Advisory Commission.
Second.
It's been moved by Mayor Johnson, seconded by Councilor Forsman to approve the reappointment of Constance Vance to a 3-year term on the Disability Advisory Commission. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Oh,
Aye.
pardon me, Councilor Klein, I was a little bit quick there.
Oh, just aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Lidke. Motion carries. Next up, we have agenda topics. Item E, councilors. Do you have any Roman numeral 9 adjournment? This is an action item.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Been moved by Councilor Lidke, second by Council President Kleberg to adjourn. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We stand adjourned. Thank you.